Today, on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat, L&H Boats works to complete the 33 on time for delivery day.
I know we got involved in more than was originally budgeted and planned for, but I believe the project came out spectacular, and I hope the owner will be proud of it for years to come.
The experts at Two Rivers Boatworks begin rigging on the 36-foot Yellowfin project.
I'm really excited about installing this new rub rail. We're going white on white, which I think with the sea foam and white boat, it's going to look amazing.
George LaBonte joins Dreamboat owner Rick Cerrito aboard his fully restored 1978 Formula 233.
Perhaps no other boat in the history of the show since I've been involved has been more of an actual one-man's dream boat than this boat.
And Stuart and Isla Mirada Boatworks starts the build of a very custom 27.
We're painting the decks, we're doing faux teak, it's soup to nuts to be a really special custom boat.
All coming up on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as we follow one-off builds to all-out restorations in Stuart, Florida's Dreamboat District, home to some of the best custom boat builders in the world. From modest to over-the-top, industry experts from the district's premier facilities show how it's done. Fiberglass repair, custom paintwork, engine rigging, electronics installations, and more. And boating editor George LaBonte shares the stories of boaters who have already turned their dreams into reality. This is Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as the crew at L&H puts the finishing touches on the 33-foot L&H project after completing a full paint job, custom helm pod, full rewire, and much more.
Once we finished up all that paint work and tied up the transom end, and name goes on the boat, clear coat goes on top of the name. Rafi it jumps in the engine room. He does his wiring, he sets up the batteries, he sets up fuel systems, everything that's incorporated in the engine room. Gets all that work done, and then we're ready to install engines in the boat. One of the other new items on the boat was a new tower on the boat. Jake picked a Marlin tower, there isn't a separation between the hardtop and the second station. You stand on the hardtop to run the boat for a second station, so the tower is not quite as high physically as a full separation tower. So one of the benefits to us is we can install that tower in the shop here. So it's a big time savings for us. We can do a lot of the rigging and a lot of that work that normally has to get done down at the water here in the shop. That way we don't get interrupted by weather or anything else. Generally speaking, the next thing we start doing is cutting holes and rigging the boat up. So I generally start at the control station, and we'll mount the instrument panel, the helm, the control handles, everything that's going to be mounted on that control pod. We'll get everything fit and put into place. Next thing that we'll do is install the electronics package if we're the people doing that on the boat, and most of the time we are. And on this boat we did do a custom display for the electronics he wanted on the boat, so we already were aware of the size of the display area, and we had a pretty good idea where everything was going to go. My job is to cut that stuff in there, get it in place, make everything look like it's finished, and then Rafi comes in and finishes it. The owner, Jake's coming into town. We've just finished up getting everything ready on the boat. Get prepared for the owner to come into town. We remove all the cover and protection on the boat, do several industrial cleanings, and just make sure everything's up to par. A lot of touch-ups and cosmetics. Everything you would do so the boat is brand new, and that's where we are right now with the boat. It's brand new and ready to go.
I guess we did it all and then some. You're looking at pretty much a brand new boat besides the engines, I guess I'd say. Took a lot of time and a lot of money, but it's a very nice boat, and I think we made good decisions about how we put it back together. It's got a lot of nice equipment, all the electronics are updated. We got this helm pod that is kind of a showpiece and really sets the boat off and goes with the rest of the teak. I really like the tower. The boat didn't have a tower before, and it runs really well from down below, but I'm coming from a center console, so I like the wind in my face and the open air feel. So now it's a nice day, I can go up top and get the center console feel back. We did make the tower so that it would be removable so that we could put it on the road if we need to in the future, but we're gonna run it back to Ocean City up the ocean and run it ourselves rather than going on a trailer.
Again, for him to step on this boat after dropping it off with us, it's a brand new boat. It's not the same boat he left with us when we started the project, and I know he feels that way now, and he's happy with everything he saw on it. Everything ran great.
Definitely spent more money than I planned on spending, but it is a nice boat. I think anybody walking up to it would mistake it for a new one. I think it's going to be a nice platform for the family, and hopefully get my boys into fishing and boating the same way that I am and the way that my dad brought me up into it.
Well, we were real happy with the project as it turned out. The boat ran spectacular. Again, everything we do is to ensure that the project should and appear to be a brand new boat when it leaves here again. The only thing that will age this boat now is the number of hours on the engine. The paintwork is brand new, the tower is brand new, the electronics is brand new. So I was very proud of that. I'm very happy. I hope the owner is too. I know we got involved in more than was originally budgeted and planned for, but I believe the project came out spectacular, and I hope the owner will be proud of it for years to come.
When we come back, the team at Two Rivers Boatworks begins rigging on the 36-foot Yellowfin project. This segment brought to you by Two Rivers Boatworks. Exceptional design, quality, and craftsmanship.
Dreaming of transforming your boat into the envy of the fleet? The experts at Two Rivers Boatworks are dedicated to customizing your boat to your specific needs and personality. Specializing in fiberglass and composites repair, professional painting, systems installation, and more. Founded by boating enthusiasts, we understand the enjoyment of being on the water, offering exceptional design, craftsmanship, and quality, so you can spend more time on the water than dreaming about it. Visit our facility in Stuart, Florida, and turn your boating dreams into reality.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat. Join the team at Two Rivers Boatworks as they begin rigging on the 36-foot Yellowfin project.
At Two Rivers Boatworks, we got a Yellowfin in, and we've done quite an extensive amount of work on it. The guys have worked really, really hard on the boat. They've done a really fantastic job. We get into the final stages of the boat now. We've got the boat in rigging. The guys have been working really, really hard on all the electrics, getting it all neat and in place. You can look at it and make sense of it. So Taco are supplying us with one of their new rub rails. I'm really excited about installing this new rub rail because I've never seen it before. It's a new product. We're going white on white, which I think with the sea foam and white boat, it's going to look amazing.
Hi, I'm Dan McCarthy. I'm the head rigger here at Two Rivers. My responsibilities that we're working on now is a 36-foot Yellowfin. Today we did the rub rail on the boat. One of the things we have to do before we start to put the rub rail on is we went back through, and because this new rub rail is on 8-inch centers on the pre-drilled holes, and the old rub rail was at 6. So we went back through and we basically just took some silicone and we backfilled all the holes so that there'd be no leakage issues or no water intrusion issues. Also, when we went around the boat, it's a 12-year-old boat, so you know it's kissed the dock more than once, and there was a couple places where the top cap to the deck was a little bit separated, so we went back through and we added some polyurethane adhesive up inside there to seal that up, make sure that no water intrusion came in there. Once we had everything sealed up satisfactory like that, we also went back through and tested all the main bolts that lock the cap to the hull. Make sure they were all flush too, so there wouldn't be anything that would cause any problems. The rub rail that we used was a one-piece. It's an extrusion, so they can make it basically as long as you want it. You order it to size, and that way it's one whole solid piece. It's really a cleaner look to go with the one piece like that. It's just a nicer all-around. It's a little bit stronger too. When I do a rub rail, usually the back of it towards the transom, you have some really, that's where you get all your funky angles and your funky wraparounds and things like that. It's easier to start the rub rail on a nice flat straight section. Leave enough, of a tail end to hit the areas where you know you're going to need it on the transom. But start on the flat section, get a few bolts in like that. It'll just give you the nice line. Don't be afraid if the pre-drilled hole, in this case we had probably 5 or 6 instances where the deck to the cap screws, because it has a mechanical fastener as well, was right in the way. not a big deal. Go over 1 inch, drill a new hole and put it in there. And then go back to the pre-filled centers and you won't have issues. The insert is usually pinched together to narrow it, so you'll basically bend it in. And it goes in, you slide it in on one side and you push in the other track with the other. It snaps into place and you're good to go. It's meant to be a cover for the screws so you don't see all the screw heads, but also it's usually the first point of contact with the dock. So it's one of those things that can be easily stripped off and put back on or replaced, as needed in case you have those little boat rash accidents there.
The rub rail came out amazing. The guys did a good job putting it on. I'm really happy to work with Taco. They're producing an amazing product. Next on the boat, we're putting some jack plates on, remounting the engines. Finally, we get to put the custom painted cowlings together. Then the owner has said, take the boat out and give it a good work over. And I have to admit, I'm looking really, really forward to that.
When we return, FS Boating editor George LaBonte joins Dreamboat owner Rick Cerrito aboard his fully restored 1978 Formula 233 in this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment. This segment brought to you by Pacer Group, marine-grade electrical wire, components, and systems.
For more than 30 years, Pacer Group has been the most trusted provider of wire, cable, and electrical products to the top marine manufacturers. All of our wire and cable is made in the USA to ensure it's the best in the industry. Pacer Group provides the highest quality electrical products to be found in one place. You can order with us at pacergroup.net. Shop online and ship, or pick up your web order within an hour at our Hollywood, Florida location.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us for this week's One Man's Dreamboat segment with Florida Sportsman Boating editor George LaBonte as we feature anglers who have already launched their dream. Florida Sportsman began these features 30 years ago, and the dreams just keep getting better.
Today we meet up with Rick Cerrito and his wife Debbie in Pompano Beach, Florida to have a look at his 1978 Formula 233. Now, if you're a fan of the center console fishing boat design and you're not familiar with the Formula 233, you ought to be. This hull is the granddaddy of all modern center consoles.
During the 1970s, one of my best friends had a 23 Formula cuddy cabin version, and we went out in that boat almost 3-4 times a week. And I had some of the best times in my life in high school doing things with that boat, with fishing, skiing, diving.
Rick and I started dating in 1977. We were just a couple of kids. And so for a hot date, he took me down here to Pompano Beach boat ramp to show me the boats. And he saw a Formula and he walked me over there. It was actually a police boat. And he showed me that was his favorite boat in the whole world was a 23-foot Formula. And he said,
someday I'd like to have this exact boat for our family. And so that my kids will have the same Florida experience in boating in this boat like I did.
Fast forward a few years, Rick and Debbie are married and they've got a daughter. It's time to find their dream boat.
I found a boat in South Miami, and we just had a child and money was a little tight, so I bought a project boat then. And I purchased the boat, I brought it home, and it actually had bullet holes in it.
You heard that right, bullet holes. During the era when this boat was in production in the 70s and 80s, boats of this type were used for all kinds of illicit activity in South Florida, especially in the Miami-Dade area where the boat originated, and this boat was no exception.
When I brought the boat home, it was structurally sound. It just needed some TLC. I had to patch a few holes. I had to close the transom in. I put a new transom in it, put a bracket on it, and the boat runs like a 25-footer now with the bracket. Put an interior in it, and I did paint it, and the boat really looked nice. And it did perform well with a single outboard on it, which I was very happy with. I left it originally as a cuddy cabin, and my family used that boat with the cuddy in mind. I could still fish from it. I could sleep over in it. I could go camping in it. The kids could get out of the sun and the heat, get changed. Now that my kids are gone, we decided to make a change.
For Rick's second effort restoring this boat, he converted it from a forward cabin to a center console, and it became evident that this style, a walk-around center console type of boat, was going to be really useful for Rick and Debbie in their future fishing adventures.
I purchased a 23.3 Formula center console top cap. I removed my old cap and I put on the fishing center console cap in its place, and it fit like a glove. It was the exact same hull. After I moved the cuddy cabinet out, I noticed that the foam had been compromised with water. I put a drill through the stringers. I saw wet wood. So I made the decision then, if I'm gonna go this far, I'm gonna gut the whole boat right to the bare hull. And I wound up putting the stringers, the transom, a new gas tank, new floor. Basically everything in that boat other than the outer shell has been replaced, other than the ski rings and the top bow cleat. I was at the Pompano Beach Marine Flea Market, and I actually found a radar arch there. And it was a couple inches short, maybe 5 inches, not wide enough. The height was great. It was a beautiful design. And I actually took it and I stretched it with my truck and a coconut tree. 6 inches to make it fit my gunnels on my boat perfect. I bought a center console from Manny at Competition Boats. It fit my boat perfect. I bought a leaning post also that fit my boat perfect. I've had the boat 30 years. It's been repowered 3 times with Mercury's. They've always treated me well. Boat does incredibly well with this motor. I use the boat mostly for fishing now that the kids are gone. We use it, that's why I converted to center console. I run with Taco outriggers. I run 2 outriggers with a center rigger. I'm very happy with my Taco outriggers.
In South Florida, the Formula 233 is a very recognizable boat. In fact, Rick said he never goes on the water without having somebody walk up to him and want to talk about the boat and want to look at it. And today was no exception. People constantly were walking up to us. Of course, Rick never misses the opportunity to take the time out and speak with people about the boat and show off a little bit.
I've had this boat over 30 years. I cannot get rid of this boat. In fact, my son has dibs on it now. So the adventure will continue.
Perhaps no other boat in the history of the show since I've been involved has been more of an actual one-man's dream boat than this boat. From Rick seeing the boat back in the 70s with his then girlfriend and saying one day we're gonna have one of those, actually making it happen, raising the family, he called the shot, and then getting the opportunity to breathe new life into it 30 years later and start all over again is really cool. Rick should be super happy with how the boat turned out, and I'm sure he's got many more years of great memories in store for him.
After an initial investment of $3,000 and spending $25,000 on repairs and custom modifications, the cost of Rick's Dreamboat comes to a total of $28,000. When we return, Stuart and Isla Mirada Boatworks begins the build of a very custom 27. This segment brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as Stuart and Isla Mirada Boatworks begins the build of a very custom 27.
We're here at Stuart and Isla Mirada Boatworks. We're looking at Greg Block's boat. He's building a real custom 27 Stuart. Twin motors, 300 Yamahas for power. It's pretty much custom everything. Custom T-top, stand on the console top, full controls upstairs. We're painting the decks, we're doing faux teak. It's soup to nuts to be a really special custom boat. The inspiration for this boat is he saw a custom Carolina boat called the Grander, which was done with satin black tower on it. And he wanted to kind of match that with the silver and dark charcoal paint, metallic, really make the boat pop. So we tried our best not to make it exactly like that, but put his own little style to it, kind of hit his little flair, but in that same kind of theme. We get pretty elaborate here. We're not a complete custom builder, we're a semi-custom builder, and we'll do whatever the customer wants to make it look cool. So when it comes down to doing the lamination process and the infusion, we've got the Butler boys, I always call them. We've got Chris Butler, the head guy, Colton and Cameron, his sons. They do a phenomenal job with our infusion. I like to bring everybody together, and one guy told me one time, none of us are as smart as all of us. So I get everybody together as a team, and come up with a game plan to build the best boat we possibly can build.
Today we are working on Greg's Box 27. We're going to go ahead and get it skinned. We infuse here, so we do 3-ounce skins on our infusion, so that way the heat from the infusion doesn't print through the hull. And we go through and spray the resin on and roll out all the air and make sure that the shell is nice and tight. That's the shell of the whole boat, is the skin. And then we do the strakes. When we do the strakes, we put 2 1708s, stagger them. Then we come back after that's kicked and fill it with a putty, and then you encapsulate the putty, and then it goes into infusion where we start laying our glass. And after all the layers and all the core material and stringers and everything are in the boat, we go ahead and put the bag on. Then once the bag gets on, we suck it down. We go ahead and put all our hoses, and then we run it into our main feed bucket where we're going to pour our resin into, and then we pull the trigger. An open laminate is anywhere from a 60% resin to 40% glass ratio, where you're 60% fiberglass and 40% resin and infusion. Resin is really brittle. The more resin you throw it apart and put it apart, it causes it to be weak. Fiberglass is where you're going to get all your strength. And by infusing, it actually encapsulates all the fiberglass, and it makes sure that you have no air in the entire part. It's lighter, it's stronger, it's better than a hand-laid part. Building boats, this was my dream when I was a child, to build boats. It may sound crazy to other people, but my dad's been in it for 25 years, and it's something that I wanted to do when I was a kid. And they're like babies to me. I have a child of my own, and we watch it grow as it goes along, and then once it finally goes, it's like, oh, that was an accomplishment. We love our boats. We strive to be the best boat company, just like everyone else does. But we actually, we're a small knit group, and we all get each other, and we all work with each other very well. And that's a really good thing to have when you're building boats. If everyone's on the same page, then nothing should fail.
Well, we got the boat back out of the mold now. All our parts and pieces are made. So now we just got to do a little prep work, making sure it's a good quality piece, sand it down, block it, get it ready for paint over at Two Rivers. So I think it's getting ready to get some little glitter on it, little flash, little shine. I'm really looking forward to getting the boat back so we can do our job and put our boat together.
Next week on Florida Sportsman, Project Dreamboat, Two Rivers Boatworks takes delivery of the custom 27 build from Stuart Boatworks for a high-end paint job. George LaBonte joins Dreamboat owner Jim Wells aboard his one-off 28-foot Bertram. Wildfire Marine works overtime to complete the 25-foot Mako project in time for delivery. And Two Rivers Boatworks nears completion of the 36-foot Yellowfin.